Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. To get a PDF version of this tutorial, join our community on Patreon at patreon.com/ArielCad3D. You'll get access to our starter pack files, blueprints, transcripts, early access to our content, as well as native CAD files. You also get master course lessons that are available at our flexible tiers. So click the link in the description box below and you can join as a free member or any tiers that suit your needs. Today we'll design the second part of the chassis assembly, and that is the leaf spring suspension system. It comprises of two pairs of leaf springs, one at the front, one at the back. So if you zoom in, you can see we've got leaf springs tucked here behind the wheel. One side is attached directly to the leather, and then on the other side it's attached using a shackle. But for the rear section in this model, we've got shackles on both ends. We've got this one here and this one here, and then we've got the leaf springs. If you're watching this video and you haven't watched our other videos and you just need to know how to set up the blueprints, go to the first episode, watch the first part about how to set up the blueprints, and then you can skip ahead to this episode. All right, so I'm going to show you an image. This is a leaf spring system or assembly. We've got a bunch of steel plates stuck together using an antenna bolt, and then we've got some brackets as well, these brackets. So this basically all the components, just a bunch of steel plates bolted together and then tied together with some brackets. But this third plate, as you can see, it's bent to have an eye on both sides where we are attaching to the ladder and the shackle. And then these two that are on top are kind of also bolted together on this section and on this section. And then the rest, we use brackets and one central nut and bolt. Okay, so since we are making a major assembly and we've already divided this into parts, this particular system, we won't do it as an assembly. We'll create just one part with different bodies. So let's just dive into it. Go to CATIA and we'll create a new part to this assembly because we are using the blueprints. Okay, so again, as I said in the first episode, insert part to chassis assembly, and then we're going to rename this it's going to give you a prompt whether or not you want to define a new origin. In this case, if you want to design a new origin, you can set it at the eye, but I'm going to leave it as it is. Okay, so click yes to define the new origin, no if you want the origin of the assembly to be your origin. In this case, I'm going to click no. So our origin is still this one here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to hide this and just insert an axis system. I find it easier to use an axis system because then I can create subsequent axis systems from the original one of that part. So this is Alt-Enter to bring up the properties tab, and then you can change the name of the part. In this case, part 1 is leaf springs. And then you can double click on leaf springs to enter into the part design workbench. I don't know. I told you I'm running heavy software every time I'm recording here, so sometimes it's bugging. It usually doesn't behave like so when I'm just running CATIA or Keyshot on a standalone. Okay, go to Tools, Hide, or Planes. And these ones belong to the first part. So we can enter the first part and hide these planes as well. I'm just going to select them. I don't know if I can hide them before entering to that part design workbench. Okay. Then we're going to insert a new axis system. under the reference, make sure it says default absolute. If it doesn't say like so, you just have to hover, right click, okay? And then usually if you've selected another one, you see a bunch of options and then select clear, okay? Clear current selection, and then it go back to default. Then I'm going to just deselect these two. No, under the access system nodes, that's fine. But I'm going to deselect current. You want to make sure every time you create a new access system, especially when it's not the default at the origin, you deselect this unless you want it to be the current access system, okay? Then we can start with the sketching. We are tracing the blueprint, so we select the ZX plane and sketch. And then select the side view. We'll start by creating the shackle. So we create its sketch. And the first part is, of course, this body here. So using profile, I'm going to create the first part. We've got a body that looks like that. And then it's got an attachment, but maybe we can create that separately. So I will exit the workbench, create another sketch, still on the Z. Is this the ZY? It's supposed to be the ZX. Oh, yeah, it's the ZX plane. ZX plane and sketch. And then where we have the eye, so profile, let me start on this side. It goes like that. We've got a tangent arc. I'm going to connect this. Oh, like that. But this is obviously not the best. Hold on, undo that. This is now the best version of it. I need this eye to be covered. I'm going to delete this arc. Hold on, undo. I just need the arc. The arc. Delete. Let me first create that circle. You have to estimate the center of this. We've got a hole here. Let's give it a diameter. So you have to remember that what you're seeing is the outer part of the nut, right? And so that means the hole is smaller than the section that is outlined. Okay. So this let's make it 10. Let's make the hole 10 millimeters. Then this part is, covered by another circle, which is concentric. Let's see if I can give this to tangency. Okay. And then this point and this circle should be coincident. But I didn't want to move the circle. Hold on. Undo. I'm going to fix this point. Select the point and I'm going to fix it to see if I can control this without moving the circles. So select the point and the circle, enter constraint, coincidence and tangency, and then I can now move it, okay, and align it. So something like that. I don't know if we can make this tangent as well. Okay, and then this point and this circle should be coincident. Yeah, that looks good. So this is the shackle, the solid fixed part where we are attaching the shackle. Sorry, this is a solid fixed part. This and this will be one body, and then we are going to have this shackle right here. So this is definitely bigger and belongs to the shackle. That's all right. We can always change it later on. Let's give it dimension so we know what we are working with. Oh, this is 22. 22. How about I make it 25? 25 like that. That's fine. I want to extend this like so. Good. Then we can use quick trim to trim off this upper part. And we're good. So remember, if you're a beginner and you feel like this is moving too fast, you don't know where the toolboxes are and all that, you can download the transcript and move along. Read it where you're confused, okay? Read it. It's got all the steps, everything you need to know, including the drawings to show you, okay? So exit the workbench. So those are 2, and we said this is 10. You need to remember that. This is 25. It's right here, 25. So that's for the solid part of the frame. In fact, this was supposed to be joined to the ladder frame, but because it will be riveted on, that's why we are creating it as part of this suspension system. It's not solid fixed on this ladder frame, okay? All right, the next set of sketches. Let's see the image here. So this is for one side. Wanted for the shackle. Let's see if we can see how it looks like. For the rear section, oh, I need to put in my battery. No worries. So this is a shackle, as you can see. On the rear section, we did cut it out, but from this image, it doesn't seem like it's cut out. It's bolted on the outer side. So we've got a solid part here, another solid part here with a cross member at the center. And then this is where we're going to have our leaf spring. So let's go ahead and sketch this profile, this one right here. So in this case, we've got one solid one going like that. Sketch. select ZX plane sketch. And we can just use a bunch of circles. One is right here. The hole, as we said, is 10 millimeters. 10 millimeters in diameter. Then now we've got an external one that can be bigger than this. So now the one that matches what we are seeing at the blueprint. This is 30. Then we can project this as a construction element. Okay. Then when you're done, you can click on the workspace and then deselect this so that we can get the center indicated by the solid dot. Then we draw out another circle. Give it the same diameter. Which is 30. And I don't like the idea of it hitting this top part. So maybe we're going to reduce that to 28. Yeah, 28 is much more reasonable. And we're going to make this 28 as well. Not this one. This one is going to be 28. Hope you can see the blueprint is making it hard to see, but this is the bigger one is 2810 and this one is 28. Okay, and then the center, we have the body. I'm going to make it an arc with a shallow depth, starting with 2 limits. Got this body, this circle, just indent it inwards. We want to have tangency on both sides, so I'm going to select these two and add tangency. This one was automatic, but this center is moving, so I'm going to fix it. Once I've got that is the center, select this point and fix it. Cool. Then the radius of this arc is 250. Since we can have an axis here. Axis from this point to this point, and then just use it to mirror our arc, still tangent on both the other sides. Oh, this one we can reuse this by making it a standard element. So we have a hole and a hole here, and then we can use quick trim to trim off this part and this part. Okay. That's all right. So that is this section. Then we'll add a cross member at the center. Exit the workbench. We create the sketch for the cross member. That's very simple. Again, select the ZX plane, sketch, and then it should be at the center. So I'm going to select this, project it as a standard, a construction element, that is. This one too. Create an axis between the two centers. Then select circle. Now let's go to standard element first. Select circle. The center should be coincident with the axis. And we can do it even better. We can make it to be at the center of these two. Select this point, and this one. And select equidistant points. Okay. Let's give it a diameter of 10 millimeters. Exit the workbench. Okay. So that one is all sketched out. But remember, this shackle is the one for the front section. I don't know if I have an image where you can see it. Let's see. Very hidden. But anyways, it's right hidden by the wheel right here, but it's similar to the others. So now that we've got that, another thing you need to understand is where it's joining. We've got a bushing, just a cylinder that kind of goes into this eye of the plates. Okay. But I think we've got that section. We can create that body first. I'll start by creating two reference points and axis systems so that I can get reference planes. Now, I am aware when you're using pads and sort the design features, you can use a face such as this as, a plane, say up to this plane, and then select a face. But because you're dealing with two parts, I don't want to use that. I would rather just use a single point, which is editable and, can transfer to the other features. So click point, and then it's going to be the center of a circle. We're going to select the inner edge of this hole, that point. Add another one to this inner section. Then insert axis system on first point. Check that the reference is the absolute. Select OK. Insert another one. So the difference between this plane and this plane defines the width of the section that we're going to add here. And this is going to help us when we propagate to this side as well. So we can start with the part that is fixed to the frame. Okay. So select pad. Start with the sketch one, the first sketch. Let's go to the top view. And this part, it doesn't really have to be within this width. So we just bring it up to here. Make sure the corner doesn't extrude outwards, and limit to up to about that point. Select OK. That's the first attachment right there. Okay, so we're assuming that this is permanently fixed. Then we've got the second section. Select pad, use sketch 2, and now the width, it should be the same as the distance between these two planes. So you're going to say dimension 1 will be up to plane. You're going to select this ZX plane. Then dimension 2 is also not up to up to plane. And once again, it's going to be up to this plane. Then you're going to preview that. So where we are adding the shackle, so this width is the same as the leaf springs, okay? Select OK. Maybe we can extend this pad 1, limit 2 outwards a little bit. In fact, I'll pull it out some more. Like that. Okay, so that's the bracket. That's the bracket that is fixed on the ladder frame. And we are simplifying by saying it's just joined with the main system. We're not going to deal much with how it is joined. And then we've gone out this, so we're going to insert a new body and then click on it, right click, define in work object. So we've got 2 of this cross section. Select pad, sketch 3. Okay, limit 1 is going to be once again this ZX plane. So you're going to select up to plane and select this ZX plane. So I know, yes, you can use this body, but one tip that I've found when you're dealing with multiple systems, it's better to use planes as reference when you're dealing with different bodies, because then you can edit the plane without, you can edit the single element without affecting the other element, because this one is going to be based on this plane. Okay, so in case I decide that now this inner part is no longer going to be up to this point and this point, I can minimize it without changing this other component. I hope that makes sense. So this is the first one up to this point. Then now limit 2. Limit 2. I will have to determine the distance between the center and this plane so that I can know the width of this section. But we can estimate using our eyes for now. All right. But let's just find out the distance. You can use this measure between this ZX plane and this ZX plane. And it's about 324. It says 324.5 0.202.